positive.
Always look on the bright side of
one bad movie at a time.
Welcome to Your Movie Rocks, an alternate ending podcast where all movies are great movies.
Even the bad ones?
Especially the bad ones. I'm your host, Mandy Albert, and with us this month is our second three-time co-host, Gavin McDowell. How are you, Gavin?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. Good to hear it.
No, I have no elaboration on that. Well, I'm doing great because I just saw the movie we're about to discuss.
Wonderful reason to feel great. We'll talk a little bit about what that movie is in a moment, but first, a quick explanation for anybody joining us for the first time. For every show, my guest assigns me a movie to watch, and we discuss the movie, just like the 10,000 other movie podcasts you listen to, except that there's a catch. No matter what, I am only allowed to say nice things about the movie. My guest can say whatever they want, but me? Only nice things, and furthermore, only sincere nice things, not I loved it when the original writer got fired and they brought in a committee to replace them. If I have nothing nice to say, I'm lying because every movie does something right. So, Gavin, what is the great movie that we are talking about this month?
I think this month we are talking about 2010's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I believe
Did this come out in 2010?
Yeah, it came out in 2010.
Oh my God.
I do not remember if the Cornetto trilogy was finished yet. I do not believe it was, but I believe this was the first time that Edgar Wright did not use Simon Pegg or Nick Frost in one of his films.
Okay.
Or TV shows. Oh.
Yes, the Cornetto trilogy was definitely 2/3 of the way done. I don't remember when the third one came out.
I believe it was after I was married because my wife said no, no, there's no way I'm seeing At the World's End, and this came out before.
Got it.
And I was still an eligible bachelor.
Okay. All right. Why are we talking about this though? Because it ain't just because it happened in the middle of the Cornetto trilogy.
Right, we're talking about it because of the democratic process. As I asked people, in our secret back channel whether I should make Mandy watch this film or a different film that is celebrating its 30th anniversary is next year. It's next year. I won't tell you what that film is because I'll make you watch it someday.
I was going to say, I've entirely forgotten what it was.
It doesn't matter. It's not important. What is important is that I have a track record of making you only watch good films. So we've only...
Is that so?
Yes. So we watched...
I mean, of course it is, because everything we talk about on here is a great movie.
Well, I made you watch Lawrence of Arabia, which is a pretty good film.
Indeed.
And I made you watch Agora, which has...
I will not be taking questions or offering comment on Agora.
A 3.4 on Letterboxd, which is pretty respectable. And Scott Pilgrim versus the World has a 3.9, which I believe is like the same score as, let me think, something I watched recently has the same score. That is respectable.
Well, if you can't trust those people on Letterboxd, who can you trust?
Right, so the Disney Robin Hood, which I've seen 3 times in the past 2 weeks, as a 3.8, so that gives you an idea. This movie is better than the
Disney Robin Hood has a 3.8?
Yes, this movie is better than the Disney Robin Hood, which is...
Speaking of things that I will not be taking questions nor offering commentary upon at this time, Scott Pilgrim.
Yes. So Scott Pilgrim, better than Agora, worse than Lawrence of Arabia, but I think still firmly in the ballpark of good. So I've only made you watch good movies, and I'd like you to know that. And the next movie I'll make you watch is also good.
So in addition to Scott Pilgrim versus the World, this podcast episode will also be a referendum on democracy and whether or not we should have it. Sounds great.
It wasn't even a close vote. It was like 5-0, I should add.
Exactly.
Everyone wanted me to talk about this with you. They wanted you to talk about it, I think, more specifically.
Okay. So this is not quite as off the beaten path as some of the other movies we've had at the table the last few months, but just in case there were people out there who were not visiting the cinemas or visiting the cinemas for this type of movie in 2010, tell us a little bit about what Scott Pilgrim versus the World is.
Well, I mean, if you don't already know what it isn't for you. It's one thing is it's filled with very specific
let's not be like that.
Very specific cultural references that the youngs would never understand. It is Scott Pilgrim versus the World is a comic book movie which were quite popular 16 years ago. It's hard to
This
believe.
is a weird comic book movie, though.
It's based off of a series written by a man named Brian Lee O'Malley, who is foreign. He's from Canada. And it takes place in Toronto, which is a major city in Canada. And it is about a loser named Scott Pilgrim who has only two or three interests in life. One of them is music. Another one is video games of the 16-bit era or earlier. And the third is women. And the movie posits he becomes interested in a woman way above his pay grade, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the film. The only hiccup or two hiccups. One is that he's already dating someone else. The other hiccup is that she has 7 exes who have formed an evil league to control her dating life. So in order to be with her, Scott must defeat them in increasingly ridiculous fight scenes, which culminates in a duel between Michael Cera, who plays Scott, and Jason Schwartzman. I just thought, it occurred to me while watching this movie, this is the first time I've seen it in 16 years. I watched it 2 or 3 times at cinema. The idea of Michael Cera fighting Jason Schwartzman is a joke in itself. It's like, I cannot think of 2 bigger losers. And cinema is like, if you need someone to play a loser, you hire one of those 2 people, depending on
Indeed, the idea of either Michael Cera, or Jason Schwartzman fighting anybody, including like a squirrel, is a pretty inherently hilarious one.
But it came with good bona fides. So Edgar Wright directed a cult TV show called Spaced, which featured a young Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and then they appeared in Shaun of the Dead, which was a major cult hit, and then they appeared again in Hot Fuzz, which was an even bigger cult hit, and then they would go on to make. And then they appeared in Paul, which Edgar Wright had nothing to do with, and you can tell. And then they appeared, at The World's End, finishing the Cornetto trilogy, which is one of our finest movie trilogies. The problem is that Edgar Wright, without those 2, seems a bit adrift. And when I was watching this film, I was thinking about how much his last film, which was The Running Man, how much it paled in comparison, or even Last Night in Soho. He seems to have lost his way. And come to think of it, I think Simon Pegg may have also lost his way, and those 2 need each other. I don't know where Nick Frost is at the moment.
You'll note the conspicuous absence of either Simon Pegg or Nick Frost
Right.
in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Right, I think this is the exception. I quite like this film. Why
do you think that is? Is it just does Edgar Wright have just a deep abiding love for this material that is driving him even in the absence of his necessary right flank and left flank? Or does it lend itself particularly well to his talents? Like, why is this the diamond in the rough here?
I really couldn't tell you. When I first saw this film, I thought, oh, he doesn't need those 2 guys after all. And then that became increasingly obvious after what was after this, Baby Driver? Was after this.
So.
And
I liked Baby Driver okay.
It was okay. He has a lot of the same things that evidence here. He loves his music. He loves his quirky editing. Not nearly as maximalist or / annoying as this film, depending on your point of view. But it felt like it took a hit. It was not as inspired as Scott Pilgrim. Like, maybe part of the problem is that he didn't... Is Baby Driver based on anything? Is Last Night at Soho based on anything? Is The Running Man based on anything? So maybe that's part of the problem.
The Running Man is based on many things.
Maybe that's part of the problem, is a lack of inspiration in the source material. Or not having source material. Maybe that's the problem.
I assume he's a fan, but I have not read any of Edgar Wright's commentary on the original source material. But I loved this movie, and part of the reason that I loved this movie is how much Edgar Wright clearly loves this movie. You don't pull off something like this without just a deep, passionate love for whatever its source material was, be that, a book, your own idea, some other movie, whatever it was. But this is a movie that it just pulses in every frame with the excitement of the people who are making it. It's an hour and an hour and 40 minutes and change, roughly the 100 minutes.
It's 110 minutes,
maybe a little
actually.
longer. It's 110 minutes.
And it flies. Like,
That's not normally... Yeah, 110 minutes is not normally a good length for a movie, but I feel so spoiled saying that this doesn't feel like a 110-minute movie, because that's not actually that long as movies go. But most 110-minute movies are too long. This movie does not feel like it's 110 minutes long. It feels like it goes by much faster than that.
Not only does it fly, but it's packed. There's quite a lot of incident in this film.
There is constantly stuff happening in this movie. It's I've heard it described as both a video game movie, which feels like a misnomer because it's not actually based on a video game, even though it's definitely got like video games oozing out of its pores. I have also heard it described as a movie that is actually a video game, which strikes me as a much better explanation of what's going on here. Both because of the aesthetic, because of the way that the viewer moves through it, and also because of the, like, you must defeat these 7 bosses in order to win your Princess in the Castle storyline.
Right. I had the same thought when I first saw this movie, is that, video game movies do not have the greatest reputation.
You don't say.
That was before, Sonic the Hedgehog came out and saved it. And Angry Birds too.
Did it?
Things like that. I think those are among the 2 highest video game movies. This one,
okay.
is, first of all, stuffed with references to real video games as a first thing, and it operates on video game logic, which several films have done successfully, especially films that use the time loop is wrong. Whatever Edge of Tomorrow was, where your characters die and they restart again. Edge of Tomorrow is a great example of video game logic, but not any references to video games in it.
I also can't think of the term for the thing you're talking about. Infinite life loop seems correct. You can't die. You can't actually die.
No, this time loop is the wrong term. It's time something. We'll have to put a pin in that. It'll come back to me like 15 minutes later when we're talking about something unrelated.
Of course.
And then, this movie opens with sound effects taken from the video game Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, which I probably came out before you were born. Are you a 90s kid?
I was born in 1990.
Okay. So this you're 2 or 3 when Link to the Past came out. So lots of references to Sonic references, not Sonic the Hedgehog, but music, music cues taken from that, for no particular reason. And
I mean, of course there's a reason. It's that thing you recognize.
I mean, it's a little more than that. It also cues you into the video game logic of the rest of it. The band that Scott's in is called Sex Bob-omb, which is, I guess, a double reference. Is a reference to the band the Sex Pistols, and Bob-omb, as you know from the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out when you were 3, has, the Bob-omb is a classic Mario villain that blows up.
It took me a moment to even remember whether there were bob-ombs in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Of course,
but yes, in fact, there was a key bob-omb.
That's how they defeat President Koopa.
Now I remember. Forgive me for not remembering every detail of the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie.
You should go watch it again if you don't remember.
No.
Anyway, and then a rival band is called Clash at Demon Head, which is that's a deep cut. That's a reference to a 1989 NES game. That's
also a way better band name.
I only know it from looking at video game magazines from the era. I've never played Clash at Demon Head. And I can't believe, I guess Brian Lee O'Malley, I guess they had it up there in Canada. And it's it's kind of like this adventure game that it would be, we would call it a Metroidvania right now. Except Metroid had already come out. Actually, both Metroid and Castlevania have been doing something similar, so never mind. Things like that, just lots of random references. Life bars, P bars. When the villain has a life bar that
floating
goes down.
Floating word sound effects.
Yeah, but that also, then it goes into the comic origin, so it doesn't really pick a lane.
And why should it? This is definitely a dartboard movie where they're just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what lands on the bullseye or what lands on the wall or what flies through the door and hits some drunk at the bar in the head, and just putting all of it on screen.
Right, so you have the video game references, and of course, then you have the video game logic of the plot, which is basically defeat 7 bosses and win your sex prize at the end. And the movie doesn't really waver from that as much as it pretends. It has an issue with women, I would say, despite the quantity of women in it, which surprised me. As I realized that a lot of the people that appeared in this movie were not as famous as they are now. I guess chief among them is just seeing Brie Larson come up as like 5th or 6th in the credits.
That was very odd.
Made me laugh out loud. And it also has Aubrey Plaza playing the role
Mae Whitman.
Her, yes, and Anna
and Jason
Kendrick.
Schwartzman.
And Anna Kendrick. We're talking about women.
And yes, Anna Kendrick and Kieran Culkin. No, it's a stacked cast. So one of the criticisms that I've seen of the movie several times is actually in the casting of Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim. And I think that this criticism is incorrect. I do not think, especially in 2010, that you could have found a better person for this role, at least among the people who had, bankable names. Were this movie made today, I think the shoe-in for the lead role would probably be Tom Holland. And that would be and people would praise that choice, and that would be such an awful choice.
He would be,
because Tom Holland is really good at he's good at playing dweebs. Like that is his niche. Is that he plays like dweebs who need to learn their inner and outer strength or something. Which is kind of what this character is, or at least how this character is presented. But the thing that Michael Cera has that Tom Holland does not have, and that most actors don't have, is that he has this very unique sort of deadpan that he developed on Arrested Development, and that he uses on basically everything. Like there's a Michael Cera character that he plays in most things that he's in. It's really funny, for one thing. It makes some of his lines come across as much funnier than they are on the page. At least that's my take on it. And it means that when this character is being an absolute shithead, which he spends the majority of his existence doing, you still smile about it. And that's really important because you're going to be spending a lot of your time, rooting for your video game protagonist over the next hour and 50 minutes. So weirdly, Michael Cera's kind of inherent, I don't want to say dislikability because I've never found him to be a dislikable actor, but his weird, repellentness that he has about him, I think actually works really, really well for this character. I don't think trying to play him off as sincere and earnest would have been a good choice.
I think I don't have any issue with the casting of Michael Cera. I think Tom Holland would be a terrible replacement. Even though Tom Holland is kind of objectively pathetic, he just doesn't have it doesn't have it. And I think even someone who plays pathetic, or at least used to, Jesse Eisenberg, the problem is when Jesse Eisenberg sometimes can, when he acts like an asshole, he is unlikable.
Yes. Jesse Eisenberg specializes in actually unlikable characters.
So I do love how, I don't know, Scott Pilgrim, he's an objectively pathetic character, and I don't know who else you get. People say, well, I can't imagine this guy winning a fight, and I think that's kind of the point, is this is the kind of person who would play video games and put themselves in the role of someone who could kick Chris Evans' ass, to fight.
Yeah, everybody's very surprised when he's suddenly able to kick ass in his very first fight against one of Ramona's evil exes, and rightly so, because Michael Cera's arms are approximately the circumference of pencils.
But
video game protags are skinny little bitches a lot of the time.
Well, I think here it's the player putting themselves in the mode of the protagonist, right? It's
also that, yes.
So the Michael Cera reflects the type of person who would play fighting games from the 16-bit era, which is replicated quite faithfully on screen.
You do get a little bit of foreshadowing early on that he's going to be more physically adept than he seems that he might be, because he is quite good at that not Dance Dance Revolution rhythm game that he plays with his first girlfriend in what is one of my favorite, like, quiet scenes in the movie.
No,
It's not a quiet scene, but it's only two people and nobody's fighting, so I consider it a quiet scene.
I really like that scene as well, as it makes it seem like these two people are like each other at first. Oh, I do. I mean, okay, so the first girlfriend in question, Knives Chow, played by, I hate that name.
Who's played by, like, the only person in the movie who didn't become a superstar afterwards.
I'm checking her now.
Which isn't fair.
Ellen Wong, she was in the Circle.
Yay!
Right, so the only
she's made it.
Right, so Ellen Wong's major credits are this film and the TV series that came out a couple years ago, where they basically everyone that was in the first movie reprised their role pretty much.
Is the TV series animated? Because everybody got older.
Yes, it's animated. It's a Netflix thing.
Got it.
I did not watch it because number one, it's TV. Number two, it's twice as long as this film. Telling the same story but taking it in a different direction. And we got reports from, I believe it was Brian, of course, it's based off a comic, that it was pretty good, but I'm not going to watch TV on my own without being
okay.
So that's that. I'm sad for her though, because I thought she was great in this role. Like, she's a really cute.
No, you seems like you said the movie's.
Yeah, but she's like, she seems like a really nice person, and she's like the butt of several jokes. Like, it's not only Scott who's mean to her; everyone's mean to her. And it's
she's extremely cute and charming. And you said that the movie had a bit of a woman problem,
but
that's
the biggest problem
Knives is absolutely my favorite character in the film.
Right, it's like the running joke is that it begins with Scott announcing that he's dating a high schooler. And
it's not her fault that she's a high schooler.
Right, they make it sound like this is I mean, it is embarrassing.
This is not a character flaw, at least not one that, she brought on herself.
I mean, it is embarrassing in a sense, Scott's 22 years old, he shouldn't be dating a high schooler. And he's embarrassed about it, and he doesn't apart from that one scene that we just mentioned, he doesn't seem to like her that much. So, like, why are they together? And
I mean, it's because he's rebounding, right?
One thing that occurred to me that affected, I guess, at least my reception of the film is that when I first saw this movie in theaters, I was just a little bit older than Scott Pilgrim was. And now I am older than Scott Pilgrim and Knives Chow's ages combined. And that makes me feel very scared inside, because for me, this is basically still a new movie. It's like, I consider like The Tree of Life to be a recent film, right? Or something else that came out around this time. Those are the only two I can remember.
Time works very strangely.
So that's so I think part of the reason that I got into the film a lot is because I wasn't so far away from the ages of the characters, and of course I grew up in the same cultural milieu where I was surrounded. I was a pretty heavy gamer throughout my childhood, and I was probably objectively pathetic. Did not have much interest in music or playing music, so I basically had to tolerate that part of the film.
That's a kind of big part of the film to have to tolerate.
Yeah, I guess. I saw, and then, Complicated Love Life. I saw this film with my high school sweethearts. I had just completed a master's degree, and she was in college. So that was, so it'd been a long time since high school. Reflected, I guess. So I brought some of the scumbag energy that this film reflects quite nicely to the film itself. So I met it on that level. And I was engaged with someone else at the time. That's the other detail.
I do, even though you're right and he doesn't seem to like her all that much, I do like the scenes that they have together. Like, we've already talked about the not Dance Dance Revolution scene. I like both of those because they play Dance Dance Revolution together twice. Once when they're actually like a couple, and the second after Scott has already mentally left her for Ramona Flowers.
Right, he's trying to break up with her, and he can't bring himself to do it.
But I also like the scenes where they're just like walking around Toronto together. I like all of the dating scenes because they're all just, this is going to sound like a weird compliment, but I swear it is a compliment. They're all just like people walking around. And I think that in, the popular discourse around dating and romance, we forget that a date can, in fact, just consist of walking around and talking and getting to know each other.
One foot.
And sometimes circling around the same places.
Putting one foot in front of the other, as Scott Pilgrim says at one point.
Yeah.
I did remind me that...
it's cute. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute when they actually hold hands for the first time.
The same scene that you mentioned, the not Dance Revolution with the ninjas and things, it also... one of the laugh out loud moments was also one of Scott as a scumbag moment. It's when they finish the game and there's a countdown to continue, and Scott gestures for her to pay. To put it it's one of the things is that the film definitely knows that Scott is an asshole, but it doesn't.
Well, he does live in a creepy basement with Kieran Culkin.
It looks like a bomb shelter from the outside.
Yes,
and it's just across the street from his house.
Yes.
So that's a bit of a head scratcher, is that he'd rather share a bed with an openly gay man. That's another thing the film has a problem with, is the portrayal of gayness on two different fronts there. One is Kieran Culkin.
And yet again, Wallace is the second best character in the movie.
No, Wallace is terrific. He is also, he's at least as bad as Scott, but he seems to own it. He owns it a lot better than Scott does.
He owns it. He is the only person in Scott's life who consistently, bluntly calls him out on what a loser he is. And he's also the only person in the movie who is nice to Knives.
That's true. Yes, he calls her a sweet angel. And that's correct. The other members of Sex Bob-Omb don't seem to like her, except, I guess, young Neil. That feels like a half.
And they don't like her because she's a high schooler, which, again, is not her fault.
Young Neil, we have to talk about this. This is a music reference. It's a music reference I got. The talent of the band. I think his name is literally Stephen Stills. Like, his name is Stephen Stills. And then they have another band member called Young Neil. And I was like, okay, that's half of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Where's Nash?
Where are David Crosby and Graham Nash?
Where's Nash and Crosby? Kim Pines. I wonder if, is Kim Pines supposed to fit in this somehow? And Scott, how do you make those fit?
Is that somehow an acronym of Graham Nash or something?
I don't know, but why would you half-ass that reference? But they do. That's what they do.
Because that's an old people reference.
Okay, yeah, really, that's really old. That's even older than Zelda, Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
That's the music reference I understood. I don't know if there are other music references. Oh, no, right, I told you, Sonic Cues. They played the theme from Final Fantasy II. The battle theme from Final Fantasy II, which is actually Final Fantasy IV in Japan, I believe. I believe it's the battle theme from that film, that video game, and not the actual Final Fantasy II. So that gets a lot of points for me, as I don't know any other film that would reference Final Fantasy, including other Final Fantasy movies. Including Final Fantasy movies, yes. Which seem embarrassed to be Final Fantasy movies.
They're too ashamed to reference Final Fantasy 2.
Right, so that's, in terms of free-floating thoughts, right? Something that I dislike about the film. So most things I like about the film. There's one thing I dislike, and that occurs during the battle against Brandon Ruth, who has supernatural psychic powers they cultivated through veganism. He's portrayed as not particularly bright, and at one point, Scott corrects his grammar, except he did not make a grammatical error. He says something to the effect of, Todd, this is Todd Brandon Ruth's character, he says, "We have unfinished business, you and I." And Scott corrects him, says something that's definitely wrong. He says, you and me. And I was like, no, that's incorrect. That's the subject. So Todd, the dumb guy. And then later on, Jason Schwartzman makes a terrible grammatical blunder, once again dealing with the object of the preposition, where he talks about his apology for forming the League of Evil Exes. He says, between you and I was in a dark place. And I was like, well, that's a grammatical error. It should be between you and me. And then Scott didn't call him out on that. So it makes me wonder about Scott.
I wonder if this was done consciously, because Scott is not exactly the brightest star in the firmament, his own self.
Well, if they did it consciously, I didn't get the joke, because I didn't think it just annoyed me. That's something that's annoyed me every single time I've watched this movie. It sticks in my craw. As I knew the Brandon Ruth scene comes up, it's like, oh, there's going to be some grammatic flip here. And then when Jason Schwartzman talks about how the Sex Bob-Omb song mate was like music to his ear holes, which isn't grammatically incorrect. It just makes him sound like an asshole, which his character is.
Yes.
That's great.
Remember also that this is a character whose like big tagline in the movie is that he's in lesbians with someone. He does not have a future as a scholar ahead of him.
Right, yeah, Scott is not, right. I never thought about scholastic aptitude because we don't even know if is he out of college? Is he in college?
Did he go to college?
Did he go to college? Yeah. Scott does not know that bread makes you fat. And one of the funniest lines actually is when they say that Chris Evans' character is shooting a movie in Toronto. He goes, they shoot movies in Toronto? And that made me laugh out loud every single time.
That also made me laugh. That was not a joke I got the first time I saw this movie, but now I get it.
The other thing about Todd is that Todd seems to think that Montreal is cooler than Toronto. And having seen both cities with my own eyes, I can tell you that is not the case. Although I also think it's funny that Ramona wanted to get away from New York, and so she decided to go to its, she decided to go to the New York of Canada. New York of Canada, yes. Those are basically the same city, which I could also say authoritatively, having visited both. But no, that's the only thing. I think that's the only thing I dislike about the films.
The people in this movie don't make good decisions.
The flagrant grammar error. Yes, no, they don't make good decisions. Ramona herself isn't exactly a peach. I don't know what she sees in Scott. No. I find their relationship deeply unbelievable. That only makes sense if the movie is a video game, as you said.
Indeed. Mario has never loved Peach for her personality.
I guess. What is he? I mean, I was trying to think about.
She's pretty and rich and nice to him.
I just remember like when
Ramona's one of those things.
When I completed Mario 64 for the first time, when I was a preteen, and Mario's reward for saving the princess is getting a cake, which I guess that's more in Mario's wheelhouse. It is rather portly for someone who constantly exercises. That makes you. I never really thought seriously about the relationship between Mario and Peach. She's just an object that you save at the end of the game. Same thing for Link and Zelda. I don't even know if these people like each other. Now that I think about it.
Well, they don't talk to each other.
They don't talk to each other. So. The thing is, like, why does Ramona?
Really mystifying.
Why is Ramona into Scott? It's not really answered. She's not very mature herself. Well, as you say, no one makes good decisions. It seems like she's dated like the 7 worst people on the planet.
It certainly does seem that way. Also, why would you ever go for Michael Cera when you could have Mae Whitman?
I guess. Mae Whitman, the portrayal. Okay, so speaking of lesbians, the portrayal.
Bisexuals, come on, get it right.
Bisexuality in this film, not the most sophisticated. But it does have the exchange, I was bi-curious, well, now I'm bi-furious. And that the way that Whitman delivers that line is very funny. And the fact that...
That could have been so awful, and yet it was not.
The fact that Ramona Flowers has a gigantic, like, sledgehammer hiding in her purse that she brandishes in that fight is also very funny. The little hammer space.
And also very video game, yes.
Very video game, yes, of course. It's like the cartoon energy in that particular fight scene. Also that she puppets Michael Cera to make him hit a girl.
The fight scenes are full of cartoon energy, and they're really well choreographed, and they're also all full of different cartoon energy.
That's true.
This could have gotten really, really samey really fast.
There's
and it does not.
I'm very happy that they keep the fights fresh. It's like after 16 years, I'd only forgotten about the amp off with the twins. I completely forgotten about that scene. I think it's the most disposable fight scene, and all the others have something really different going on.
I think my favorite of the fight scenes is actually the first one, in part because of how it's introduced.
Yes, the guy
through an email that Scott ignores, and also...
well, he comes flying through the roof like he dives in through the roof, which caught me off guard the first time it happened. It makes me laugh every time I've seen the film since then. The guy... There's
an inherent surprise throughout the whole thing that all of this is happening.
Matthew Patel, played by Satya Baba, and he has very interesting body language throughout the fight.
He looks like Boy George.
Yes, dresses like a pirate. You have Kieran Culkin shouting from the sidelines, irritating things. He does that throughout the entire scene. And then,
as he should.
Yeah, the hipster demon chicks, when he unveils his mystical powers. That is a great introduction to the evil exes. I think Chris Evans is quite funny. I like it when Scott accidentally hits his body double. There's actually a great moment in there where, again, Kieran Culkin shouting sarcastic things from the sideline. He goes, "Hey, Scott, you said something obscene. Ask him what is it like to be the sloppy seconds." And this is something that only Michael Cera would have been able to pull off correctly, as he starts to ask him the question before he gets decked in the face by Chris Evans. This is back when Chris Evans was basically the Human Torch. I don't know. He hadn't graduated yet to Captain America. I think he was about to. And I don't know if Chris Evans had any other claim to fame at that point in time. This was, I think this showed that he was capable of, self-criticism.
He was a less billable name than Michael Cera at that point.
That's
How the tables
wild.
have turned.
That's wild. But also it shows that I think he has good comic energy. He should play. Well, I guess the Human Torch was supposed to be funny. It shows that he was actually capable of being funny, whereas the woeful Fantastic Four movies he was in were not. I guess that was a fault of the writing rather than him.
It may, in fact, be helped to be directed by Edgar Wright in this case, who does
Tim's story
have excellent comic visual timing. Like Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yes.
And while that is of course the work of the Holy Trinity of him and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and thus not entirely directly comparable, there is still a lot of Hot Fuzz energy here. Like the extremely quick pace of the dialogue. It's missing the Britishness of Hot Fuzz, but I feel like the Canadianness is a good substitute here.
I mean, what good would Britishness? There's nothing remotely British about this story.
Exactly, but there does seem to be I am deeply, having never been Canadian, I am deeply unqualified to talk about this, but it does feel like there is a certain Canadian sensibility to all of this in I don't know. There's an inherent...
I can't really comment. I'm an honorary citizen of Quebec, but Quebec is very special. Toronto is sitting right outside our borders. I just shit-talked Montreal. I shouldn't have done that. I should have upped up.
I don't know.
Montreal.
We associate Canada down here, of course, with extreme politeness.
That's not Quebec. That's not Quebec.
Also, because I don't know. I listen to a lot of Canadian music, and because of that, I think there's also a dryness that I associate with Canada. A sort of dry bluntness, perhaps mostly with Western Canada, which is not Toronto.
Right.
But I don't know. The movie feels Canadian in a way that most movies shot in Toronto, where Toronto is playing New York, do not.
Was this actually shot in Toronto? That'd be hilarious if it wasn't.
Was it?
I don't know. I have no clue where it was shot. And I'm not sure. I don't recall if we see the skyline anywhere, except possibly on a movie set. I think on the movie set there's a.
Well, they're kind of in the residential parts of it most of the time.
Then why would you? Okay, it's like if you're going to film in residential areas, it doesn't matter what city you film in.
It was filmed entirely on location in and around Toronto.
Okay, that's good. So
Ontario.
There we go. There's a film.
There are real iconic Toronto spots that I have never heard of in this movie, apparently.
Okay. I only visited it for a weekend, so what do I know? Not very much is the answer to that question. I'm trying to think, is it Canadian?
I've only been to extremely rural parts of Canada.
I'm trying to think of what I would classify as Canadian in this film, apart from the source material. I mean, just the fact it's based on, it takes place in Toronto. It's based on
snow and Michael Cera.
Snow. Yes, it snows in April. It does snow in April. Trudging through April snow in Quebec. That sucked. That's one thing I definitely don't miss about Quebec.
There aren't a lot of people driving in the movie, so cannot comment on the drivers.
I think no one drives. Maybe he doesn't have a driver's license.
They're all way too poor to have cars.
Yeah, well, they're...
The only one of these people who will ever have a car someday is Wallace.
Right. Well, Gideon has a car. He's the big tough media mogul from New York.
Yes, Gideon, the most functional character in this movie.
Right. So I'm trying to think of what else I could say about this movie that I haven't.
The dialogue is largely very snappy without getting annoying. And that is as we have seen from certain generations of comic book and superhero movies, that is a difficult needle to thread sometimes.
I feel like I should have something clever to say here, but I don't. It's just that several of the line deliveries still make me laugh. And it is it's strange. Is this really a dialogue heavy movie? It feels like there's a lot of
there
the
is
jokes,
a lot more talking in it than I remembered being there the last time around.
A lot of the jokes are visual as much as dialogue. I should have written down all the lines that made me laugh out loud. That would have taken more time than I needed.
The garlic bread conversation is much funnier than it has any right to be.
Right, including the delivery, bread makes you fat.
And also, among other things, just that they are having a dinner date on Scott's floor, eating what would appear to be nothing but garlic bread. Which, you know what, you're broke. You do you.
It's a classic delivery of "You are vegan, now you'll be gone." Which isn't especially funny, but it's stuck in my head. You kicked my heart in the ass, which is something that also stuck in my head, even if it's not especially clever.
I also liked Ramona's long list of the hipster teas that she has in her cabinet.
Oh, right. Including some that she made up. That scene makes me uncomfortable. That scene would never happen in what reality? Like, they just had a terrible date that Scott forced her to go on.
Yes, but she has no self-esteem.
Right.
So.
Okay. It's like, when I talked about visual gags, one of the visual gags I did like is that the second he gets the package and signs for it, he throws it in the trash. That's how he stalked her, as he learned that she's an Amazon delivery girl, which is a terrible job. And orders something off of Amazon. Of course, I guess in the whole of Toronto, they only have this one girl.
Another line that worked much better than it should have. What's the address for Amazon.ca? Followed by Kieran Culkin's Amazon.ca.
I don't know. That's such a tired joke. It's usually
but I don't know. It made me smile.
Usually in the form of what's the number for 911, which appeared in the Straight Story.
I don't know. It's somehow funnier when it's what's the address for Amazon.ca.
Right.
Knives asking young Neil what he plays, and young Neil saying like
Zelda, Tetris.
Zelda and Tetris. that's a deep question.
So, although that is confusing, is that young Neil, he's in that opening scene, which establishes that he's not really part of the band, yet he takes Scott's place in the band, which makes me wonder. It drives me back to that question that someone on the Discord at least asked. They never know. Every time they watch Back to the Future, they don't know if Marty in that film is supposed to be actually good at playing guitar or not. And I don't like Sex Bob-omb. They have self-esteem issues. They seem to think that they suck, but I have no clue if they actually suck. I probably won't listen to them. That's for sure.
They are not a memorable band. Let's put it that way.
Although the scene of Clash at Demon Head singing, that really, I didn't remember that from 16 years ago, and that's going to stick in my head. Oh, that seems superfluous.
I think Clash at Demon Head is a musically more accomplished band than Sex Bob-omb, and I think that is also intended in universe.
I see. Okay. Well, I don't think I have any further thoughts on this film.
Okay. Yeah. By this point, we were not yet ready to give up on Edgar Wright as a director flying solo.
I'm still not.
Alas, I don't know if that.
I'm still not ready to give up on him. I basically like The Running Man, but I feel like we're in a state of diminishing returns.
I just don't see a point to A Running Man that doesn't have Richard Dawson in it.
Right. I see your point there. I did watch the Schwarzenegger classic before, and it pales. It pales in comparison. Which, the 80s film is quite dated and stupid. And
yeah, but it's stupid in the way I want it to be, and things that are stupid in the way I want them to be are good.
And like, to turn this into a mini review of this unrelated film is that the only I mean the reason for remaking The Running Man to make a proper adaptation of the Stephen King novella, but Edgar Wright did that to a degree, but he also wanted to remake the 80s film. So it's like the story of the Stephen King novella with the humor, like the attempted humor of the 80s film. That's like, I invented a drink called a red heifer, which is red wine with a dollop of vanilla ice cream. And watching The Running Man was like drinking a red heifer. Two things that are fine independent of one another. You put them together and it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing you've ever had. I do not recommend this drink. It was curiosity.
That was one of the better analogies I've ever heard you do. And now I know what a red heifer is.
It's also a biblical reference. Let's see if you know me.
I'm shocked, I say.
It's Numbers 19, I believe. So it's very important.
Okay.
Very important for cultic purity. But you don't care about that because it's the Sabbath and you're recording. So
Not in the slightest.
But you've been judged. You've received your punishment. Should we move on to the final segment?
Indeed. So, speaking of faithful adaptations of things, back to Scott Pilgrim. So, what do I actually think of this movie?
I know that you love this film. That's a 6 out of 5.
You know that I love this film because I've said so several times over the course of this podcast. But do I actually love this film?
No, you don't.
No, I don't. I did, however, and you can see for sure because I have written it down here.
You bumped it up.
I am at least considering bumping it up a little bit.
Okay. Whatever for.
Because I feel like I had a better time watching it this time. I am leaning towards getting it up to 2.5 over 2, which is what I've had it at for a long time. I just really don't enjoy spending time with these two main characters.
Being Scott and Ramona.
Yes,
they're immature,
like
terrible people,
and
they deserve each other. Which
being a little bit older than them now, I feel like I can actually look at them with a little more healthy distance, and not be like, why does Edgar Wright think that I, an early 20-something, personally am a stupid loser moron? But I still just, like, the movie is, I know it has to be focused around them because the movie is called Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and it's based on a comic series called Scott Pilgrim, but you could fix all of my problems with it by simply making this Knives Chow versus the world. Because Knives is the one who actually goes through the compelling character arc where she learns to respect herself. Scott should not respect himself, either at the beginning or end of this movie. Self-respect is an earned thing.
No, he should go to,
and he
should go to a monastery. Frankly,
yes,
he's immature. I believe that this is one of the primary things they fixed with the animated series. No, I thought one person called it Knives Chow versus the World. No, one person calls it Ramona Flowers versus the World. No, I don't want that.
No, I don't want that either, because she also needs to go to a monastery.
As I know that Knives Chow's in this, I'm trying to find her on the poster now. You think she would stand out. But, you know, in the way that Brian Lee O'Malley draws these people, they all look like they're the same race. I can't tell anyway. Also, there's a lot of awkward racial humor in this film. Yeah, and the use of an ableist slur that you could use 16 years ago, but you can't use now in any capacity. Having looked at a picture of Brian Lee O'Malley, I was like, he probably gets a pass for at least some of the things against Knives Chow. Either Knives Chow or the Japanese twins, but he can't get a pass for both. That was wrong.
I don't know. I'm not inclined to go pick at his house.
Knives Chow is definitely like she's like the one nice person in this film. They're so mean to her. She goes
from being like a cute, shy little dork to a little bit of a psycho to realizing that she doesn't need this loser and just needs to be happy with who she is. And that is a good, healthy arc for a teenager to go through. And it is annoying that I have to spend all of this time being forced to root for the losers at the center of this movie instead of rooting for her.
Right. So, my perspective on the film is a bit different. The thing is, I agree with the criticisms that these people are immature, adolescent. Its views of humans and human sexuality is kind of retrograde. And the problem is that when I first saw this in 2010, all the nostalgia bits really, really scratched an itch for me. And now 16 years later, I'm not just nostalgic for that stuff. I'm also nostalgic for this movie. So there are now two layers of nostalgia, despite the fact that I'm allegedly more mature. The thing is, this reflects the attitudes of someone who is stuck in an adolescent rut. You know, someone like Scott Pilgrim that is a legal adult, but still basically a teenager. And I have a hard time docking the film for reflecting his view of the world, as repulsive as it is.
No, it's a good portrayal of early adulthood rutness. But a line that I'm sure that Tim did not come up with, but that I learned for the first time from one of Tim's reviews, is that the critic must first admit that he is a man. And in this case, the critic must first admit that she is a woman and comes to this with certain biases and preconceived notions and own views of the world. And the absolute best case scenario for this movie was that I was going to give it a very begrudging 3 stars. So we're not that far off from the best case scenario. Like, I had more fun than I remembered having the first time. I think I focused a little more on just the craft elements of it, and the craft elements of it really are quite good. I just cannot for myself get over being asked to root for this shit weasel for the entire movie, who never becomes less of a shit weasel.
I mean, he admits that he cheated. He apologizes for cheating on knives.
But he's absolutely going to do it again. You can tell.
I don't know. I don't think about what happens after the end of this movie. I do like
the moment that he and Ramona realize they have nothing in common, they're going to go through this with another girl.
Interesting. Well, and he also apologizes to Kim Pines, Allison Pill's character, for being mean to her, which he is. She's mean back to him.
Allison Pill deserves so much better than she has gotten. The only thing I've seen her in that was any good was Devs.
I didn't know you saw Devs. Interesting.
I did see Devs. We'll have to talk about Devs some other time, or this will be 2.5 hours long.
You've never seen Snowpiercer?
Oh, she was in Snowpiercer, wasn't she? Okay, that's
or
fine.
Hail Caesar, or Milk.
I have actually not seen Hail Caesar.
Okay, or Vice. I know you love Vice. There's one someone should bring up for you.
No. God, no.
Right, so as a man, I should admit...
Do not put that out into the world.
So as a man, I have to admit that this film does feature, in 2 small quantities, Anna Kendrick, Aubrey Plaza, Brie Larson, Mae Whitman, and I feel like I'm missing one here. It has a number of very beautiful women in it. Oh, right, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, especially when she's...
I was going to say, you didn't even mention,
the blue hair with the blue dress. Oh my God.
You didn't even mention the film's hottest lady in the history of ladies.
She has not gotten... What happened to her?
I don't know. I've never seen her in anything else, I don't think.
She was in a remake...
If I have, I don't know about it.
She was in a remake of The Thing.
Yay?
I mean, that's the only thing I can name. She was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I never saw. Right, she's been in 50 things, and I have seen 3 of them.
Okay.
And I can't even tell you what the other 2 are at the current moment.
50 Shades of hair colors.
So, no, she's quite beautiful, and that was enough to make me pardon everything else about this film.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, anyway, thank you genuinely for the opportunity to revisit this film. It's always nice to learn, at the very least, that I don't hate a movie as much as I thought I hated it.
Well, always a pleasure.
Indeed. All right, and for those of you out there in Listenerland, we will be back next month with another great movie, and in the meantime, enjoy the other episodes of the podcast, and go support us on Patreon if you are so inclined. Talk to you next time.